podcast. The purpose of the podcast, as you guys already know, is to share information so that people can empower themselves and be a better resource to themselves, and through that, be a better resource to the community at large. Today, we're joined with Damien Allen, a good entrepreneur and brother I met a few weeks ago on a light fighter survival course. And we're just going to talk about some different topics in the hope that you can gain some benefit from it and go out and be that change you want to see in your community and the greater human family at large. So if you could, Damien, just introduce yourself a little bit, talk about, what you're into now, how you got into it. Please be sure to let people know how they can reach out to you for business inquiries and such, and how they can support you both locally and, across the country, whatever. So introduce yourself a little bit, please.
Got you. First and foremost, I appreciate you, Adrian, letting me on the platform. I don't take that lightly.
Thank
for
you,
folks
brother.
listening.
Thank you
Yeah, no doubt. My name is Damien Allen. I'm the owner operator of Freedom Elevated Defense Solutions. Been passionate about Second Amendment rights and just people getting the right information, because there's been so much misinformation and people fall into that trap of movies and TVs, and it's like, nah, this is not how we do it. But been very passionate around educating people and helping empower people, especially in my community, Black and brown communities, because it's been such a disconnect. When you think of Black and brown people in firearms, it's always been associated with something illegal or criminal. And I really want to work to change that narrative, because you shouldn't see us and feel like we're a threat or we're doing something wrong. It's like, nah, we just exercising our rights. I've been actively involved with just doing Second Amendment stuff since probably 2015, 2016. Over COVID, I actually had an opportunity to finally make myself an official capacity as far as getting certified and doing the official paperwork to really help people out in the right way and get them their actual certificates. So I'm still fairly new to doing that part of it, but I've been educating and empowering people and giving folks advice for a minute, because it's been something I've been doing for a long time, just personally, being prepared and just kind of being in front of situations before it happens. It's something I've been probably actively on since 2001, 2002.
All right,
and if folks want to get with me, they can find me on Facebook and Instagram, Freedom Elevated Defense Solutions. The website is www.freedomelevated.net. And that's pretty much where we at right now.
Okay, so with Freedom Elevated Defense Solutions, where did you get that name from? And then what are some of the type of clientele you like to work with, that you work, who you service, and what are the type of services you do offer?
So the origin of Freedom Elevated is just basically an empowerment kind of thing. It's like, if we always depend on somebody to do stuff for us, we're really a slave to them protecting us or providing for us. And it's more than just firearms. It's self-defense, preparedness. I'm actually trying to link up with some people here in the community about doing some more gardening and learning how to grow some of your own food, because food poverty is real.
Yeah.
You can control a person by their appetite so easy. You know what I'm saying? And that freedom piece is very important to me, because so many people are locked in bad jobs and bad situations or whatever, and they don't feel like they can ever break from it. So for me, that empowerment where you can take control of your life, defend your life if need be, defend and protect your family and your loved ones, that's important to me. And when people really get on that train, they never turn back. They never look back. So that's kind of really the origin of that. I'm currently doing basic and CPL classes. I have an interesting wrinkle in my program. I have a virtual range simulator, and it's been a great tool for people who have never touched a firearm, because we use replica firearms that recoil, and it would be about the same as shooting a 22.
Okay.
So in the class, without any projectiles or bullets coming out, that fear factor is reduced pretty much to zero now.
And when you tell them fear, they can just focus on learning because they're comfortable.
On learning, absolutely.
And
so
while
now
they're doing that, they're building up all their skills.
They're building their skills, they're building their confidence. So then when we actually transition to the live fire portion, you already.
Are you still there?
familiar with. So now it's just a matter of pressing the trigger and,
Wait,
and
lost you
following
for
through.
a second. So you said,
I'm sorry.
the last thing we had before it skipped out was you saying that you're building up their confidence, and can you go from there?
Yeah, with that, we build up their confidence, and now they're familiar with their stance, their grip, their sight alignment, the trigger control, their breathing, all of that stuff they're already comfortable with. So then when we transition to live fire, it's nothing new. So now all you have to do is just focus on, all right, this is what it is. And when they realize that we're going to go from this recoil pistol that's pretty much the same as a 22, and we start you on a 22, and then we build from there. So we'll go from a 22 to a 9 and then go up, so forth, you know, depending on, you know, the certain student. Okay. So it's been a really great tool. And then when we follow up from that and we give them the legal portion, we actually have a scenario-based trainer in this program that I have, where the lawyer will critique how you responded to the situation. If you did it legally.
That's phenomenal, man.
Yeah, so it's because for me, it's more than just like, okay, here's a gun, let's shoot, and that's it. Because you made a post earlier today. It's folks who do stuff to defend themselves, and they may have shot too early, or a couple of different factors could come into play. And it's like, if you're armed with that information, you can make better decisions. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's fantastic. That's one thing I do in my courses as well, where we go over the legal stuff. I show them exactly where the statutes are, so they can look it up. And important thing is that you have to know by what standard you're going to be judged. You know,
Absolutely.
People use their own standards on what is right and wrong. You know, I was in the right because he should never talk to me like that. I was in the right because he came over to me. I was in the right because he already had beef with my brother. Well, is that a legal standard or your personal?
According to the law.
So, I mean, all this stuff where we know, like, culturally, society, or whatever, it might make sense that someone did X, Y, and Z, so you do this. But you got to look at the standards. And the same thing applies to use of force. If a cop tries to do X, Y, and Z, like, I know in Pennsylvania, you are not justified to use of force against a cop, even if the cop's in the wrong. Whereas some states you are.
Really?
Yeah.
Really?
So, yeah, it's crazy, right? Because we were like, oh, well, he should never grab me like that. Or I know I ain't had no warrant, or whatever the case may be. Oh, he came to my house and I ain't let him in. Like, so if you know they are an agent of the state and they're acting within legal, what they presume, you know, are legal bounds or whatever, then you can't use force to, you know, fight against them because you know they're right in the state. So you just gotta hope you don't.
Got you.
Which is kind of wild, right?
Yeah,
so,
that's super wild.
Every state's different though. Like if
every state
in
is
Arizona,
different.
or from what I remember, when Arizona, if the cop is using too much force and they're in the wrong, then you just, oh well, he's just gonna get bodied. Like it's just
right.
Well, the cop was talking to you pretty mean, so I mean, you know, if you slam them on the ground, then
Arizona still got cowboys, man.
Arizona's man. Arizona's crazy.
Yeah, they wide open.
Oh yeah, definitely. I like that stuff. But that's good that you have a lawyer there to critique them, because that's something that a lot of instructors don't even have, and they might have the notes or someone's cliff notes or something, but they are
man.
You ask for a lawyer there, so that's you gotta know what you're good at and know what you're not good at, and give the right people the job. You know,
I am definitely not an attorney, and for us, we have so many questions outside of the things that pertain to the lesson plan or however it's laid out. And for me, it's a value add where I want you to walk away completely empowered and informed, you know? And then my attorney, she's available before and after the classes. So like if someone says, oh, you know, I have a situation with her where they can reach out and get any questions answered, and it's no extra charge or anything like that.
You know, funny thing is, I might have to get her information anyway just for some stuff, because not a lot of lawyers won't even be willing to do that, you know?
Right. Right.
You can later plug her information just so I can share, you know, so she can get some more business too or whatever.
Absolutely.
That's a phenomenal value you're adding to people. It's funny too, because our mission for Health Defense Solutions is about, you know, making people better, and a lot of it does focus on autonomy and just change your mindset about, like, I can do stuff, which is why the motto is success from within, because that's the podcast. So the same thing you're talking about, you know, elevated freedom and stuff. It's the same thing about where you're trying to level up so you can do more, think differently, and be more effective in whatever you want to do. So that's pretty fly. I'm gonna go through my standard questions here, and then
let's do it
and see where we're at. So you mentioned a little bit about what you have been doing with 2A and personal protection, and freedom stuff for a while. Why did you feel drawn to it? Like, what was the reason you decided to focus on that and human rights? Because a lot of people think about it, but a lot of people are like, oh, well, that's not my path or whatever. But why are you actively doing it now and sharing your time and putting money in so you can actually gain skills? Because that's a big thing. You got to invest in yourself so you can invest.
It's an investment in skills, man.
Yeah.
It's an
So
investment in skills.
what made you be like, yo, I'm gonna start writing text for this shit? Like, I'm gonna start putting my buck where my mouth is. What's up?
All right. So the funny story, what really kind of put me on my path of Second Amendment rights and preparedness is I lived in Detroit, and it was a massive blackout that hit the East Coast in about 2003.
Okay.
I'm like 2021.
What's the cause of the blackout?
They said that it was like a grid, like it took New York, the whole East Coast out in parts of Canada, and it went as far as Detroit. So like everything.
That's crazy. I don't remember none of that. I guess Philly was
like
okay,
August,
wherever I was at that time. I don't even know.
It was like August 2003, but I was sitting there like, you know what? I don't have anything right now.
You know what? 2003, I think I was in China, bro. That's probably why.
And yeah. Y'all had power back then, I think, you know what I'm saying? But no, it really like flipped the switch for me because I was like, all right, we didn't have anything like supplies. We didn't have a lot of the things, and people were stuck in a situation where it's like, okay, debit cards, credit cards, none of that shit worked. They was price gouging, $30 a gallon of gas, $20 for a bag of ice. Yeah, it was real, man, and like cash only. I remember walking to my brother. We lived on the west side of Detroit. Me and my little brother, he was like 10, 11 at the time. We walk into the store, line out the door around the building. They only letting 2 people in at a time. And I just told him, I said, yo, if things get hairy, don't worry. Just go to the house. Because it was laying like that. And that night, it was just so pitch black and like people, like so much stuff happened. Like the news tried to report that everything was, but no, folks used it as an opportunity to come up. So
always, man.
Every time. So, and unfortunately, that's human nature.
Yeah.
You know, that the thing I tell folks, like when you watch a zombie movie, it's never the zombies. It's always the people. That's the problem.
That's how The Walking Dead got 20 seasons in.
That's what I'm saying. It's always the people, man. It's always the people. But
my funny thing is, I was talking to my daughter the other day. She's 6, and she's like, "Oh, we were talking about monsters or something like that." And one of my children says, "The only monster you gotta worry about are people." I was like, "See, you done learned the lesson." So
he catching on, yeah. But that experience really like put me into like getting more educated in buying firearms and stuff. And then just through people knowing me, because my other business is I'm a DJ, so I do a lot of events. I've done radio, podcasts, and things like that. So just naturally through people knowing me through that, they know that I was in that path. So it just came like a shower of questions and people wanting to know, like me and my brothers, like, what do you think about this? And it was just one of those things where I was like, let me do this in an official capacity.
Okay.
We actually had an event here in my city, Black Guns Matter. We actually brought Mirage in, and that was like 2015, 2016, and like that was really like the start. And I was like, okay, well maybe I can bring people in, and then it kind of steamrolled into like, let me get off the sideline and let me be proactive. Okay. And that's where we at in 2021. So.
All right, that's beautiful, man. The lucky thing was that you had that exposure with the blackouts and stuff, and that you had a awakening, like, yo, this could be worse. This could happen again.
Absolutely.
Yeah, because some people go through that and like, oh, that was terrible, and then just move on. Like, I was like, you're not gonna try to prepare. Okay, he's like,
no.
Yeah. So it's different types of people, man. So that's good that you're doing that, and you because of that, you're now able to help so many other people. So that's fantastic.
Absolutely. Because I got tired of people saying, I'm gonna come to your house.
Oh no. Make your house a sanctuary. Don't come to my Playboy.
Yeah. No.
Why don't you plug your DJ thing too, bro? It's all business. What's your DJ
stuff? Yeah. My handle is DJ Composition. So you can find me on Instagram and Facebook. I've been DJing since I was 13, so I've been around for a minute.
A little young, man. You're supposed to be in school flipping books, man. You're flipping records. Man.
I was doing that too, but I paid my dues, carried crates for other DJs and stuff like that. So I just was in love with the culture and then just the art of DJing. So that was like my passion.
You see that documentary on Netflix?
Which one?
You tell me. I'm trying to remember. There was one I saw that was real good. It was talking about the. I think it was talking about. It had a. I liked it because it had a lot of interviews with actual like old school like rappers and DJs and stuff. And like a lot of times in documentaries you can tell they're trying to push a certain narrative or whatever.
Yep.
The questions they ask and how like stuff gets cut. This one I like because it's very free form. So they just like old heads telling stories and like it wasn't a narrative per se. Like they just were able to tell their stories, and I liked it a lot.
Tell their story.
I'll look it up later and get back to you about it. But it was really, really good. It was on Netflix. It talked all about stuff started in New York. They talked about North Jersey. They talked about like people in like St. Louis how started going different places.
Yeah.
So it was some good stuff. I forget they had some dude that's noticed like some strong guy like all his. I'll send it to you. It was funny as I don't.
Yeah, send it to me.
There's so many stories of people, especially with black people and stuff, and it was really interesting to see how each area had their own take on rap and hip hop.
Twisted, yeah, absolutely.
So, I'll plug it, send it to you later. Maybe talk about that next time. All right. So you went over why you became an advocate. What are some of the greatest things you learned that you were surprised about, or that opened up your eyes as you started working in personal protection and, as you call it, freedom elevated and stuff like that? What was one of the greatest lessons that stood out to you, or like a aha moment or something like that?
I think one of the biggest things was the people who are really drawn to it, and are passionate about it.
Okay, drawn to like 2A preparedness stuff.
2A and like learning about guns in general.
Okay.
Because everybody comes in with like a set of ideas or thoughts. Being able to help folks make that switch where it's like, okay, I'm doing things the right way. Like I've had classes where I've had fathers and sons and mothers and daughters and stuff like that. And like for me, I'm filled because like I'm changing generations. Because the narrative for us for the longest is like, you don't need no gun. That's something bad. Like it's just even our own, like, oh, what are you doing with that? Like, I mean, I'm sure you've ran into what you need an AR for. What
black
you
dude ran into people not like
yeah, so it's just like changing that narrative and really seeing that spark in these people's faces, like that's what do it for me. And I just want to continue to do that because there's so many times where it's cats who can legally get it, but they're carrying illegally. Then they get caught, and now they in the system and they can never have it. And I want to change all of that. So just being able to make those steps for folks is what really like has helped me move along and keep going. Because I mean, let's face it, firearms are popular, but they're also unpopular at the same time. And people look at you and being black and doing this is like, oh, wait a minute. Are you trying to? I'm in Michigan, so they already got Michigan militia. They think I'm about to start the new militia for black folks and stuff like that. Which but you can confirm or deny. It's a social club.
What you doing in the woods over there, David?
We bird watching.
Bird watching. He said bird watching. I mean, that's a beautiful thing, man. One of the books you suggested was that nonviolent stuff will get you killed, right? Or was it Negros of Guns?
No, it was When Violence is the Answer.
All right, wait, you got Negroes of Guns. You got Negro of Guns. So that's a very good book.
Yep.
That kind of relates to your point about breaking stigmas and characterization stereotypes around black people gun ownership.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Negroes of Guns is a fantastic book. Can you tell us, just because the point you're going over in terms of like breaking stereotypes and normalizing some stuff, can you tell me anything you remember from it that relates to it?
The thing that I loved the most was that in a time where we had separate water fountains and everything else, and majority of the people in our country who wanted to fight for civil rights was, we shall overcome and we gonna do this, whatever. This community came together in the South and was like, nah, we not doing that. And when they decided to keep that same energy that was getting presented, the ops, they wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
So then they started getting the change that they needed. When the Klan would roll through their community and get out and beat up women and beat up kids and beat up men randomly and shoot off in the air, they went to their local elected officials and people in power to say, hey, man, we need to have this change. And nothing changed until they met that force with the same energy. And then it changed the next day. Oh, well, look, y'all can't go through there because they not playing. You know? And most people are okay dishing out violence, but they're not ready to take it.
Oh, yeah.
You know? And during that time, it was a free for all. People were super comfortable. You know, they packing sandwiches and baking cakes to go whoop on mugs. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's how comfortable they was with that. And this community came together and said, nah, we're not doing that.
Yeah. And
that was one of the things that was like, you know, it's true. Most people are ready to dish out violence, but they're not ready to get it back. Well, and once they showed, and once they proved that we with the smoke, like what you want to do, they fell back. Like, you know, even when like the protesters and the peace people came in and was doing the sit-ins, he told them, listen, I want to be a pacifist, but I don't think it's gonna work. And then they go sit down at the counter and get their head cracked open. And he like, I told you that wasn't gonna work.
Yeah,
you know
Robert F. Williams, man, he's an interesting dude, man.
Yeah.
Wait, give me 1 second. I got something going off alarm.
Yep.
Most professional podcast in the world. I got alarms going off in the background.
Hey, listen, man.
So
it's all good.
Related to that, with the Negroes of Guns, have you heard about the Deacons for Defense and Justice?
No.
Oh, bro, you gotta
put me on. Put me on.
Basically, same time period. My grandfather was in the Deacons for Defense. So in Bogalusa, Louisiana, my grandfather used to do some stuff. He ran a mortuary, and you know, he ran some guns and coffins to help arm people and stuff like that. And basically, it was a group of people who got together and were patrolling their own neighborhoods, patrolling other people's neighborhoods when night riders would come in. There was one story where they went in and abused a young black woman, you know, outside communities, you know, white people driving in, and they were trying to pick up girls, holler or whatever, and they were rebuked. And what they did was threw acid on one of the sisters. So they said, you know, they ran off after that, drove off. And the Deacons and some other brothers got together, like, yo, she's in the hospital. She got bills mounting. If y'all want to try to make this right, y'all take care of her medical bills. And, you know, they laugh because they ain't used to nothing happening. So then sometime later, one of their cars blew up and stuff like that. And they had patrols where they would box people in, box them off. People would try to come in with the SNCC, you know, Students Nonviolent Coalition, to try to get voter rights and come and stuff like that. They would meet them at the train stations and escort them. They were doing all sorts of stuff. And the funny part was they were hand in hand in a lot of marches, like the March on Selma, stuff like that. Like those people were nonviolent, but the Deacons is like, we'll support you so that you can be nonviolent. So we'll be undercover, carrying our stuff. Some will be, you know, wearing dresses and skirts undercover, marching and stuff. In case something pop off, like you said, like they would be there to meet that force, you know, because nothing happens in a vacuum, you know. Nobody's bulletproof, and all force yields to greater force. That's the same thing we see with, you know, the Afghanis. They had like their small arms and ragtag sandal wearing, you know, jihadists, as you want to call them, all that stuff. They were able to outlast and overcome the greatest military in the history of the world, as they call it, the United States military.
Right? A few of them. A few of them.
Yeah, a few of the Russians, right?
Russians. Yeah.
The same thing with the Vietnamese, you know. So you can have all the force you want, but if you have an attitude and the will to fight and ability to fight, then you can overcome all sorts of stuff. So
absolutely,
I'll send you some books on the Deacons for Defense and Justice.
Please.
But they just did a lot of good stuff, and they're not known a lot because it's just like one of the so many stories of you know, black culture and history. Since it wasn't documented per se, they don't have any museums up. It's just a bunch of old heads that were doing stuff, you know. They literally were you know, World War I vets and other dudes like that who just literally set up patrols to protect the neighborhoods with, you know, full on armaments and stuff like that. And they're like,
that's super dope. Please send me all of that. Any books.
Well, I was happy as I don't know what when I found out my grandpa was in there. Like, see, yeah.
You know, yeah. Aha.
Did the Jewish
Where's the spoon?
So yeah.
I'm sorry, y'all. Listen, we've been quoting movies left and right. Just bear with us.
Negroes of Guns is a good book. Let me go to the next question. Where we at? So what are some challenges you faced as a black man? I'm gonna assume you identify as a black man. You let me know if you identify as anything else. You don't want to assume stuff. My apologies in assuming. But what are some of the challenges you face for your preparedness journey and stuff like that? Like I know we both mentioned about like the stigmas around firearms, like why you need guns? Real men use these. All right, yeah, we do.
Right.
But sometimes, if it's middle of the night, I ain't trying to use these. I'm gonna get my robe on, wiping the sleep out of my eye. Like I'm gonna use this.
Yeah. You ain't even got the rope around your robe.
I know. You reach for that instead of your gun. Like,
what is going on now?
I stayed in my 90s, yo, and just pulling this off the counter, man. I ain't worried about all that, yo.
Right. Nobody got time for that.
Yeah, after I pop it, I'm going right back to sleep. Y'all worry about it in the morning, bro. I ain't worried about it.
Right.
I'm going right back to sleep, bro. So what are some of the struggles you face as a black man in your journey towards 2A? What are some of the stigmas you had to overcome? Some of the stuff for yourself, some of the stuff other people try to put on you. What are some stuff you had to go work through?
So I've lived in Michigan for the majority of my life, but I've split my time up between two cities, and that's Detroit and Grand Rapids. Now the thing about Grand Rapids, obviously Detroit, its history, good, bad, and ugly, right? Yeah. Grand Rapids, on the other hand, this is a city where there isn't a large population of black folks, and a lot of times folks are not really aware of what they can and how to go about stuff.
Okay.
So here living in like laws and just abilities to do things. Grand Rapids for the longest is very like Dutch Holland controlled, stuff like that. So here I am, black dude talking about guns, it's not always met with open arms and well received. Things have been changing because like I have been like doing some work, and I've been telling my story, but also empowering other people. Now, obviously I'm not like, oh, only black people, only brown people. Like, no, it's for everybody. And I'm open arms because like the more of us that are educated and prepared, the better everybody else is gonna be.
So
because you don't need to come down with.
So how did you overcome some of that? And like, would you say like it's got? I don't want to use too strong a word, but you think it's like some of the barriers or stigma against you having firearms, or firearms instruction, or advocating for firearms? Like, what are some of the things you ran into, and how do you get around them? How do you build that like that?
Definitely, I'm not what people think of when they think of firearm instructors. I mean,
you ain't got no flannel on, man. No flannel.
No flannel. No flannel. I ain't, nah. But for me, I really have a no quit attitude.
Yeah. I definitely can vouch for that, yo.
Yeah, for me, even I'm super competitive. So like if I feel like you done slighted me anyway, like now you done poked the bear, and now like I'm on your ass. Like now I'm gonna go through the brick wall just to be like, nah, like we getting this done.
Yep.
And that's just been my demeanor my whole life. Because there isn't really there just recently, probably within the last 2 months, there's been one minority-owned firearm store open up. There are no minority-owned gun ranges. I don't know the name of it because it just like opened up.
Find out, let me know. I'll plug them.
I will, because I definitely plan. And see, part of my plans were to open the store, but like I don't know now. I don't know if I really want to open the store because of the liability. Because folks have been breaking in gun stores around.
Another way you could do it too is not doing a brick and mortar store, just do like an online sales store.
Online, yep. So that's kind of like the path I've been looking at doing. But yeah, here it's been a lot of challenge. That's like in appointment only kind of thing. That's the lane I'm really looking at. But some of the challenges here, because of those lack of resources and people who look like me, putting that out here, it's been a challenge. It's been some people, but the overall majority, it hasn't.
Okay.
For me, I'm a very I'm stubborn. I'm gonna get the job done regardless. So for me, it's like let me empower as many people as possible. I don't care what it takes. Like I'm gonna do it.
That's a funny thing too, because like if someone were to ask me that same question, I would be hard pressed to find examples of it because I don't look at woe is me or how obstacles in my way, or I just I got to move A, B, and C and do this way, pivot that way. So it doesn't even like really register because I'm just focused on the goal and accomplishing it.
Yep.
So that's a weird question because that's hard to answer. Like, what are some barriers you had to face? Like, I don't know, Barry. I'm just getting shit done. Like, I don't know what
I'm just gonna get it. I'm gonna just get to it. Like, I mean, some days may be 2 steps forward, 3 steps back, but like the mission continues.
One of the things I run into all the time, especially people who are anti-gun. Oh, why do you need a gun? Are you violent? Like, what's that? Like,
right.
After I backhand, like, motherfucker. Like, no, I mean,
peace, my brother, peace.
You making eye contact with me? I kill people for that. Like, nah. So it's really funny because he was like, "Oh, you have a gun, so you must be violent." Or, "What are you gonna do with it?" Hopefully nothing. Like, I have a gun.
Nothing.
Say that like we buy a fire extinguisher. What are you gonna do with a fire extinguisher? Like, if there's a fire, put it out. But if not, it's gonna be chilling, like right here.
Right. Yeah, and it's not gonna do anything to anybody.
Forever. Like that's what it does until there's a fire. I'll just bring it out for birthdays. I'll bring it out like when I'm bored on Fridays.
Right.
I'll have a fifth of vodka, but like, you know what? I'm gonna mess with that fire stick. Like, nah, like maybe if you're in a frat, they do that shit in frat. But like not.
You know what? We could be fire extinguisher influencers. How about that?
There you go. Fire. Let's do it, bro. We gotta work hard through the summer. I mean, through the winter, get our beach bodies up so we can do that.
Right.
Fire extinguisher influencers. Get a calendar going.
Yeah, that's right.
2023.
Just hold it.
Fire extinguisher influencers. 2023, bro. We're doing it. It's goofy, yo. But like, that's the thing. Like, I get firearms and do the training, so I don't have to use it. And then if I do have to use it, I can do it in a more humane manner. Like,
exactly.
Shooting someone is better than me bludgeoning them over the head with a brick. Like, it's like, all right, you both died in both instances, but
ouch. Yeah, it's gonna hurt.
My kids ain't gotta see me do that, so like,
it's efficient.
It's more efficient. Plus it's like a whole bunch of I ain't gonna hit all y'all with this brick. It's a lot of work, bro. It's a lot of work.
Yeah, no.
Brick's gonna get slippery. Might lose some chunks off when I'm hitting people. Like,
yeah, no. We just
so it's about efficiency, man. And trying to do the best. And same thing to that, you got to do medical training and other stuff too, like de-escalation.
Absolutely. All that is important.
Anytime somebody says they want to learn firearms, one of the first things I do is talk to them about educational mindset and the force mindset, because you got to be able to preclude violence. Like, you have to literally do everything you can to avoid it. Like, I'm about to go X, Y, and Z place. I need to bring my gun. If you know you need a gun for X, Y, and Z place, then why are you going there even?
Right.
So finding ways to not be in situations is the biggest thing. Education is always the biggest thing. Avoidance is the best win. And I focus on that entirely more than any of the firearms use and stuff. Medical too.
In my classes, I played the video of the couple in Pennsylvania when they got into it with their neighbor.
Oh, the Ice John?
Yeah, I played
they murdered old boy, right?
No, old boy murdered him.
Oh yeah. But the thing was, like, that could have just been squash. That could have been a squash just by them walking away, man.
That's what I'm saying. But old girl, she had a firearm on her. She pulled out first.
I didn't see her pull her arms out first.
You hit the sound is off, and at first I thought it was a cell phone, but it's a gun.
So
and
she pulled the gun out. Old boy is like, "Oh, we got guns in play."
Yeah, and you started it, I finished it.
That's crazy.
And that's not
an uncommon story.
No, not at all.
People escalate. A lot of times people think guns are for arguments or to win an argument or to win a parking space or you're gonna put some respect on my name. Like, I'm gonna put you in the grave, and then they'll put whatever font they want on your headstone. Like,
yeah, I hope you pre-selected your font.
Like, cause it's not a game, man. And that's the same thing when I tell people, like, young, old, infirm, white, black, paraplegic. Like, if you're a threat, you're just a threat. It doesn't matter. Like, the same thing I was watching. I watch a lot of like CCTV footage and stuff from my classes that I share with students. And there was an instance where this dude got shot and he was down, but he was still shooting at people. I was like, that's why he keeps shooting, because he could have killed people. Like, he's trying to kill people on his way out.
Yep. That's still a threat.
Yeah, it's still a threat. So like, oh, why you had to shoot him that many times? Or like the thing where people are like, oh, well, I just shoot him in his leg. There's main arteries in the pelvis has like the largest has a large amount of arteries, and even the
Right.
femoral artery in your legs and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you can still bleed out easily. So I just wounded him. Now he's just dying slow now, bro. Like he gonna be there for 3 to 5 minutes, not doing well.
And see, in the amount of misinformation that's out here revolving around firearms and how to do things. Listen, and I tell folks, you are not about to be John Wick when we done with this class.
Nope.
You're not Colombiana. You're not the Avengers. This ain't Justice League. Like, you're not gonna do any of these things. We're not doing any of that.
Black Widow in this piece.
No, we don't need any fancy finishing movements and stances. No.
They kept clowning her for her interests.
Yeah, right. You wanted to just look cool.
I like the Russian. What's the Russian dude's name? I like the. He was funny as I don't know what.
The red
Red Russian.
Yeah. Red shield or something,
yeah,
whatever.
He had me cracking up. I love that. He had me die, yo. That dude was funny.
Yeah, it was good, but I tell people, I'm like, yo, it's a whole mentality thing. Like, you can't. This is nothing to play with. This is very serious, and I'm in alignment with you. I've taken a couple medical classes, and even during our light fighter course, when we went over the medical stuff, knowing if you're gonna own a firearm, you absolutely have to have medical stuff.
Yeah,
you're gonna use that medical stuff before you use that firearm. Hopefully, hopefully you don't have to use any of it, but at least have that knowledge. People get in car accidents every day. That's important.
I agree, and it's just a resource because most people in different communities, like, you need to take a Stop the Bleed course because that's where most people die, is from bleeding out on the way to the
absolutely. Yep. Because nobody knew what to do.
Yep. People just watching the person shake on the ground and stuff. And people don't realize it. People don't realize how fast you can die, and you won't even know you're dying. You're just dying, and then you're dead.
Yep.
Especially with stabbings,
still be here.
Puncture wounds and stuff like that. People don't realize, like, I just got stabbed, I'm good, and then they're not good, and it's a wrap.
Because they watch too much TV.
Yep, you're right.
They see the hero get shot, and he going 45 more minutes, killing 52 more people. And he just got that long.
You know what I do in movies? I see somebody get hit with a critical leg. I was like, all right, he should be dead. And wait, no, this turn is off. He's still alive. Get that turn up. I don't like movies where people are like invulnerable. I don't like it. I don't like, unless it's a superhero movie or something like that. But if you're a regular dude and someone hits you with something, like, you're supposed to be like, oh, that don't feel too good. I might have to sit down for a little while.
You mean Fast and Furious? You mean the Motor Avengers?
I wouldn't want Fast and Furious, yo. I stopped watching that, John. I called they were going to be on the moon 5-10 years ago. I said they're going to be on the moon.
Listen, it's ridiculous.
I called it. For family, bro. For
family. Look, I got to finish it. I'm too invested now. We're 9 movies in. We got to finish it.
I got out, the last time I watched one of the Fast movies, I got out, I think when they was riding down the side of buildings in the United Arab Emirates, I was like, I'm done. Or when the Rock was pulling all that stuff with the trucks, it's going super fast, and I was like, I'm done.
No, you talking about that's Hobbs and Shaw. That's Hobbs and Shaw.
I don't know,
when he was on the tow truck pulling a
when he was No, not Hobbs and Shaw. I'm talking about the one when they had the Rock first came in and they had those big old trucks that was racing down the streets chasing everybody. I was like,
yeah.
You know where the truck's keeping up with that vehicle? Like, what are we doing?
Or when he had a revolver and shot a bag of grenades.
Yeah. Why
on
not?
A moving helicopter.
His marksmanship is better than ours. Yeah, it's crazy. I feel good. You ever watch the Raid?
I have not.
You joking?
I have not. I gotta watch it.
I'm sorry. All right, well, thank you for tuning in, everybody. All right, I'm gonna send you a link. There's a movie called
tonight. I'm gonna watch it tonight.
I'll send it to you tonight. There's a movie called The Raid Redemption. You have not seen it?
No.
Oh, you're gonna watch it. All right, I'll send it to you. Then we do that on the next podcast. Basically, the premise is that I don't know if I should. I'm gonna tell you because it's still gonna be hot. It's a SWAT team. They go into like this slum where this crime lord has his operation set up. Right? They go in there. SWAT team goes in there, and basically stuff goes down where they wind up having to fight the whole apartment complex of criminals. And like, you can bring your AR and 120 rounds, but that's for mags, bro. It's a whole apartment complex, so it gets real better, yo. People will be up there using chair legs and shit, try to stab people, throwing people out of windows, kicking people
Yeah, I'm
down
watching that
elevator
tonight.
shafts, using a fluorescent light bulb, shanking people. Like, you know, the long Johns. It gets real gutted, bro, because they try to go home, bro. And
yeah, I need to see that. I'm
showed
watching that as soon as we
Oh,
done.
I showed you, bro. That John's in there. But anyway, the reason I like that movie is because the protagonist is not invulnerable. So he be fighting people, and he's fighting people trying to kill him. So if he gets hit on his chin, he gets rocked. Like he's and like,
Yeah, no, I appreciate
I'm not good
that.
for a few minutes. Like he'll run away. Like he's not gonna be like, aha, you just knocked my brain back and forth. That means nothing to me. Like, nah, I got concussed, nigga. This shit hurts.
Time out.
I can't see time out. I gotta run. And like this one dude gets shot, and he's no good for the rest of the movie because he got shot. He's like, yo, trying to keep my guts in right now. So y'all go ahead. I'm gonna just post up here, hold these guts.
Go without me. Go without me.
He's not in the next fight scene, bro. He got shot. He's out. So I like it because it's realistic, you know.
Right.
So I'll send that job to you.
Okay, bet.
That's all right. Next one. Also, I did say the N-word earlier. I would like to know that Hell Defense does not support the use of the N-word, and we're gonna bleep that out.
Well, sorry.
I gotta bleep myself, bro. All right. So how are things kind of like you mentioned a little bit Grand Rapids and Detroit. What is the climate for? I'm on focus right now. Just whatever climate you're familiar with. What's the climate on like gun ownership and the stigmas around it? What do you see as a common how common people feel? How does law enforcement feel about it? How do the gun shops feel about it? What's the dynamics around ownership in Grand Rapids and Detroit area?
Well, I think gun shops across the country are loving every bit of it because they get money. They getting that money. Chips with the dip. They getting paid, you know. And they've been jacking some prices up.
Jacking a little bit. I can't. The ammo prices are still crazy, bro. I still
ammo. Listen. I need to learn how to shoot a bow because these ammo
I got
prices.
A bow. I got on that early last year, bro.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm gonna just start reloading this. I'm gonna just pick it up.
I've been wanting to do a kendo class. I ain't gonna lie to you. Like I wanted to, get my kendo game. But
I got you on that, bro. You let me know what weapons systems you want to learn. I always go for stuff that is easy to access. I always do short sticks. You always find a stick somewhere.
Okay. But like, I'm with it. I'm with all of it.
A ghetto weed or whatever. Like I don't know if y'all got weeds over there that grow into trees, but we got weeds that grow into trees around Philly area.
Yeah. No, we got all of it.
Switch. Any of that stuff will work almost the same, but yeah, I got you. You let me know.
Yeah, I'm with all that.
But yeah, I mean it's weapon.
But ownership has been obviously increasing for everybody over the last 2 years or whatever.
Do you think the culture's turned from change in terms of like being more positive to being more negative, or more closed to more open now, or what do you think?
I think that it's become more positive and open because I think I think a lot of people who were anti before, during COVID and during how things just kind of went a little unusual.
You mean
they kind of was
riots and stuff?
Riots, but just
did y'all have riots?
Everybody
in your area? Because I know in Philly they was moving up Broad Street, flipping over police cars and shit.
We had some riots and we had some things happen or whatever, and couple groups and folks and speaking their minds and on both sides and I just I mean, even with like one of the protests, people was calling me like we should go down there and open carry. And like the first thing I asked people was, I was like, okay, let's say hypothetically something went off and you have to engage a threat. You mean to tell me that you put in enough work that you can stop a threat with all of these other people around you and not hit them? And if your answer is no, then you shouldn't be open carrying anyway. You need to go be practicing.
You sound like some sort of firearms instructor, man.
Me too. But like that's that mentality thing that we're talking about.
Well, you sound like, I'm sorry, let me clarify. You sound like a reputable firearms instructor because there's some of them out there. Fraudy.
Yeah. So but that's that mentality piece. So I definitely want to stress that part. And like even people calling me, they're heated. I'm like, yo, you got to take your emotions out of this. Like if you're allowing your emotions to control how you move and respond, you're already at a loss. You lost already.
Ever since like even with martial arts, I was because going through martial arts training for the majority of my life, I learned, and I don't mean like just doing stances and stuff. Like we did full contact. I did full contact competitions. I grew up fighting, in Philly and stuff
Right.
like that. So growing up and seeing like what it feels like to break somebody's ribs and what it feels like to get busted up too. Like, yo, I don't want to do that to people. Like it made me appreciate it more. So I was less apt to use it. And then since I was
Right.
less apt to use it, I've gone to situations where I let people drill me and be like, "Oh man, that's your best hit." Like, "Oh, I'm sorry, bro. Yeah, you
Right.
got you got it, pimp. I'm sorry. I'm gonna just go home. Oh man, because I know if I let him continue and we got on, then like he might not walk the same anymore. Like his walking career might be over, and then I might be getting a felony like
Because
assault
you
charge.
have the skills. You have
Yeah,
the skills to do so.
but it
And
made me appreciate it. Same thing with firearms though. Like with firearms, knowing what it feels like and the violence that is visited upon people, even if they do survive, they might not survive. And if they
right.
don't survive, the trauma their family goes through. So I don't want to
Absolutely.
go through that. The trauma I go through, having to go to court and try to justify. So it made me that
It's
much
real.
yeah, made me that much more conscientious of what I'm doing and what I'm not doing, so I can make sure I don't ever have to use that type of stuff.
I agree. And in the same spirit of preparedness, I've talked to several people, martial arts disciplines and stuff like that, and just people like ourselves. To me, I feel like every person should have a constant, controlled level of violence in their life, whether you've taken some striking classes or some grappling, because we've seen people who have never been punched in the face before, and their bodies is like, what on earth is going on? And they shut down. You gotta know, you have to know what to do in those situations if it happens.
They be like,
Look, you're laughing.
yo,
You're laughing.
David, they be
You're
like, wait.
laughing because you know the three people
Oh
who got shut
yeah.
down.
But they be like, wait, I thought we was just talking.
No.
That wasn't a word that hit my face. He's still punching me.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's a rap.
Wow.
Bro.
Yeah. So I feel like everyone should have a controlled level of violence in their life on a regular basis. So then it's just like working out. You may not be able to do 50 push-ups today, but you work up to it. Now I'm not saying like be a punching bag for nobody, but like you gotta harden your body and your mentality around some of that stuff just in case it happens.
But if the same thing there, it lets you know that you can survive through a punch, and lets you know that you need to survive through the punch.
Exactly.
I had a guy years ago who was trying to get ready for MMA, and a lot of people get in MMA just because they're athletic, and they get in there to just slug it out. That's not for me. Like for martial arts, the way I see it and interpret it, it's not that you're untouchable; it's that you're efficient. So you're able to do it quickly and smoothly. Same thing we were talking about with firearms, right? So instead of just throwing a whole bunch of punches and hoping one lands, or till one person gets tired and then they fall over, like I'm waiting, and then I rock you. Or I'm waiting, catch you slipping, then I dump you. Something like that where it's efficient, And a lot of people get in there because they're athletic, and they'll just be slinging, banging, knocking out brain cells and stuff, getting injuries, and never really get the efficiency and skill there that is supposed to be with the martial arts. They're just in there mixing shit up. And I had one cat, he was athletic and he wanted to get into MMA. And I was just like, all right, well, I can help you get your amateur license and stuff. But like before that, let's like make sure you square it away so you're not just in there mixing it up and, getting all beat up and bruised up and just, going in there and busting it up with dudes. And we did a simple drill where basically as you were punching, you would get counter punched to the body. So it's like what happens in a fight. You're trying to hit someone back. So you can't just fall over. You got to still land your punch or you have to recover or stuff like that. And we did that drill for like maybe a minute, 30, 40% power. He quit and never came back. I was like, this is with gloves on, not full power. This is what you know is coming and you're still prepared for it. And the dude quit. I was like, I did him a service because if he was in an MMA match, he might have got signed up and like got killed. He might have thought he could beat somebody on the subway, but like, yo, I'm athletic, got killed. So he didn't know what it was like to get hit, but he wanted to do MMA. I was like, what?
Somebody to watch the movie or a pay-per-view and think that they could do it. It's like, nah, bro.
It's all easy when you're just sitting in your chair. It's all easy when you're sitting in your chair.
Oh, yeah. The punches don't hurt at all when you sit down watching it.
Yeah, couch don't hit back, bro. What Bruce Lee say?
Right. No, not at all. Exact. Boards do not hit back.
Yo,
yeah,
Bruce
man.
Lee, I'm sorry, Bruce Lee. I didn't mean to do you like that, bro. Do you have any suggestions or input you would give somebody who's like kind of on the fence about like gun ownership, or even not even with gun ownership, preparedness stuff, freedom elevated as you call it, someone who might have seen some of the stuff happening in the news would be like, oh, we're okay. I don't need to worry about that?
First and foremost, I would say that things are a lot more fragile than what you think. Even if you think things are bad, it's worse than that. Because with a keystroke, a great documentary thing that I watched was called American Blackout. And they simulated what our country would be like with 10 days without power. Just 10 days. We're back in like medieval times in just 10 days. Okay. Our network and our whole society is so fragile. Get you some food, get you some water, learn how to do some things. You know what I mean? The thing that I tell everybody, and like it's my phrase, is nobody's coming to save you at all. Nobody's coming to save you. You have to own that. That's an ownership for yourself. As a husband and a father, like I got people counting on me. So I need to make sure that I can do what I need to do for them and the people I care about. So at least have 3 weeks worth of stuff. And it don't have to be like fancy stuff, or you don't have to go all out. Go buy some ramen noodles if you have to.
Vienna sausages, bro, all day.
Stuff. I mean, tuna, like little stuff, soup. Like you can, and you don't have to do this overnight. Like just build it up over time, but also just kind of put yourself in that mentality where it's like, hey, you may not be able to move for a minute. And I think COVID shifted a lot of folks' mentality where it's like, I think COVID allowed people to have a snapshot of what it would be like to not have convenience and comfort. People went to grocery stores for the first time and everything was gone. That does something to you mentally when you're so used to abundance. When you're so used to just, we're going to get, grass-fed steak tonight. No, brother. It ain't that. You can't
ain't no more grass being fed, my man.
No. It's over. It's over. You can't even.
It might have been, Damien. It might have been the farmer's like, I ain't sitting this cow out. I'm keeping this cow on my farm.
I'm keeping it for myself. You know what I mean? Tissue. People freaked out over tissue.
I remember a funny. I don't know where I heard it, but somebody said like during Operation Iraqi Freedom, toilet paper became more valuable than gold, bro.
Because everybody want to cover their ass. Excuse my French.
I know.
But I'm just saying, like for real. I mean, self-preservation is a real thing.
Where people think, we're so elevated and stuff above like animal levels and stuff like that. Like, you think about what people do in frats when they think they can get away with stuff, and then like anywhere you think people can get away with stuff, look at the depravity people get into.
Absolutely.
Be it a gymnastics coach. Be it a Boy Scout, be it a teacher with some young boys, and she thinks she could do. If people think they can get away with,
or a popular R&B singer.
Yeah, I know. Wait, I laughed. That's terrible. That's even worse, man. But that's not. But the thing is with that, those are not rare occurrences. That stuff happens all the time.
All the time.
See what I'm talking about? I was just talking to one of my friends. She had an auntie that was known for being fresh with boys, and they're just like, oh, that's aunt whatever. She just be touched like what?
Right.
How y'all just know that?
Yeah, no. And you okay? You like no. I tell people all the time. You see people go crazy over Black Friday shopping. People fighting over microwaves and toasters and what do you? Yeah, knocked out cold. All right, trampled to death, robbed in line. Merry Christmas. Here we go. Give it up.
Merry Christmas every year.
What do you think will happen when there's no food, when there's no resources? If they doing this for stuff that they don't need.
When there's no Netflix.
People gonna go crazy. So it's like, what do you need to do to put yourself in a situation where you can take care of you and yours or others, even if it multiplies out to your community, your block, whatever. You know what I mean? Start thinking about that, because things are far more fragile than what you think. I mean, you've seen people freak out without having signal on their phone. Yep. Freak out.
Yep. Now that goes to one of the other books you suggested. The other first book you had suggested was Negroes of Guns. That's by Robert F. Williams, of course.
Yep.
The next
Yep.
one he's got Going Home. Going
Going home.
By it says author A American.
Yeah, that's like a fake name, I think, or whatever. But like,
that's a fake name.
right.
What can you tell us? What can you tell us a little bit about the Going Home book, and why did you?
So it is. It's a survivalist novel series. It's like 9 books, but the premise of the story, how it starts off, is a guy is on his way home from his job.
Don't start the story, but why did you think it was? Well, I guess you are telling us. Why did you think it's good, and why people should read it?
Okay, because it gives you a snapshot on something that could happen, and how quick things fall apart, and what.
Beautiful. That's all we need. That's good.
All right.
Let them find the rest of it.
Yeah.
Plus, A American not paying us, so they can either.
Nope. Cut the check, bro.
Yeah. Cut us a check. We'll do a full review for that job for you.
Right.
What are some pitfalls or dangers you see as you try to go through the 2A thing? Is there anything? We already kind of talked about it. I'm gonna skip that one. Do you ever run into conflicts you see as yourself as being like a peace-loving man, a black man, but also being into firearms and personal protection and other stuff? Do you see conflict ever there, or do you have conflict from other people? They'd be like, oh, well, you're supposed to be like a loving dude, so why are you worried about this? Do you ever find conflicts around those different things where you like being about peace? You don't want to start none, you don't want to be none, but then people be like, oh, well, you're being violent, or you're seeking out violence with guns. You never hear like, oh, well, if you get a gun, you're going to find a reason to have to use it. You ever heard that bullshit before, right?
Right. I think that the biggest thing that I've ran into is from folks who are like so anti-gun that they just can't wrap their minds around why I would want a firearm or why am I teaching people, and like I just have to break it down to them. It's like, okay, listen, if you already have a fear of firearms and what people are going to do with it, wouldn't you feel better knowing that somebody like me is properly educating people then? Even if it's not for you, because I tell people in the class all the time, you can take this class and afterwards say, you know what, I've learned a lot, but the most important takeaway is that I know this isn't for me, and I'll be A-okay with that, because you and I both know we've met people who have no business with a gun in their hand.
Very true.
But their ego won't allow them to say, this ain't for me, because I have too much of a temper. I get angry fast, or I put my emotions in. Yeah, you're not ready for this. And I'd rather folks get that knowledge where it's like, I learned a lot and I appreciate it, but I know it's not for me. So that's how I'll pivot with people and say, listen, I'm empowering people because it's folks who are, victims of all types of acts of violence. This is empowering and helping some of those folks heal. You can call 911 as much as you want, but in that moment, they're not gonna be there to save you. Yeah, and I'd rather you be able to survive an encounter and have the proper information than be dead or either live a life full of woulda, coulda, shouldas and regrets. You know what I'm saying? No matter what, you're gonna have a level of trauma around, but survive the encounter, man. And that's how I pivot with people. And I mean, and if they don't like it, hey, I will respect their opinion, but I'm gonna keep doing what I gotta do.
All right, beautiful. It's funny, the books you gave work very well with just our conversation tonight. So the last book you gave was When Violence is the Answer. This is a phenomenal book that I read by Tim Larkin, and it is a book I reference almost as much as When Fear is the Answer by Gavin Baker, whatever. Have you read that book?
No, I was going to actually shoot me a book list. I actually, before we got on, I had came from the bookstore. I actually picked up a couple books. All
right, so I'm going to send you 2 books after we get out here, Deacons of Defense and Justice. There's a couple books around that, and then there's a book called The Gift of Fear by Gavin Baker. I'm messing his name up, but The Gift of Fear. So the gift of fear talks about using your instinct and turning it into actionable intel. So it's
Right.
like an example of like, oh, you walk by, like say you walk in a room and the Philly be like, yo, I don't like that dickhead over there. You don't know who he is, but something about him like makes you want to just knock him out or stay away from him. Something weird, like that's
Yeah.
a weird motherfucker over there. Something's up with him.
Right.
Or whatever. So I don't vibe with him. Like you can tell a snake sometimes, and you don't know him from nobody, but you know something off his vibe.
Yeah,
And then
you
later
can
you find
feel
out
the
like that's
energy.
the dude that been like roofing people, or that's the dude that been downloading
Right.
child porn, or that's the dude who always like sets up people and gets them robbed later, whatever.
Absolutely.
So the gift of fear talks about like reading that intel or like little things that people do where like let's say you meet somebody and they automatically start being like, hey buddy, where are we going? I don't know, you like we ain't going nowhere. Like I ain't telling you
You
nothing.
speak French?
Yeah.
When we start speaking French?
So it just talks about different stuff where you think something's a little off, but you kind of dismiss it, and then
Yep.
something happens. So I always tell people that like there are no like, oh, it came out of nowhere. Oh, he was so quiet and no one ever seen it. Like no, he was doing weird stuff, but y'all ignored it or you made excuses for it or brushed
Yep.
it off, and then
Absolutely.
if you look at like the history of a lot of serial killers, there's always telltale signs beforehand. Let's say like he buys a puppy and then kills the puppy. Why the fuck he killed a puppy for? Oh, he went through a phase. The dog, whatever. And then he started killing people.
Nah.
Like, oh man, I wonder where he got that.
Yeah, exactly.
So Gavin the Backer just talked about all these different scenarios and situations where it's like he keeps the names of the people safe, but he goes through and teaches you about situations that happen and how people can
Right.
learn from it and actually use it as a tool. Because you all had that little voice in your head like, oh, I shouldn't do this.
Absolutely.
I shouldn't go there.
Mhm.
I don't really know him like that, or I don't really trust her. Like she's a little too free with the ass. You know, like something about this.
Mhm.
I know I'm
Right.
handsome and all, but she
Yeah.
really into me right quick. Like who's she
Yeah,
calling
nah.
while we driving home?
Exactly. No, I'm super straight. And like the analogy that like when I'm talking to people, especially when you start talking about situational awareness, is as a DJ, my job is to give people
You drop high beat.
what they I got to give them something that they need without them even knowing that they need. So I got to read the room. I got to read the crowd. But with that,
I never even thought about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna build a whole platform off of DJ that's reading. Oh, you got me going, bro. You got me going.
It's all good. But so when I read the room, I can look at the room and see good and bad energies. And if I see something that could potentially be bad, I'm sending security. Go walk over there and check the temperature, because like you said, people will try to get away with it with whatever they can if they think they can. But when you start putting those things in place, it can prevent stuff from happening before.
With that type of stuff, you have to check it immediately, because if you don't,
Immediately, it'll escalate and it'll just get out of hand.
Bigots,
all that.
Feminazis or whatever. Like, yo, I don't know if you got problems with dudes, but I'm not that type of dude, so don't talk to me like that. Don't interact.
Yeah, no, we're not playing that game.
I usually talk to black people, but I'm not that type of black person. Don't talk to me like that.
Yeah, don't play with me. Play with yourself.
Be like, hey, what's up, dog? Well, they keep escalating. Yo, man, why you trying to do the DJ Jazzy Jeff handshake with me, man? Like, chill the fuck out.
Yeah. Like, don't talk to me with the rap hands. Like, I don't need that. I hate that shit.
What's the rap hands?
The rap hands, get the fuck out of here, man.
Get out of
here. Get out of here. Okay. No.
Not the big timers rap hands.
We don't need that. I don't need no Birdman hand rubs. I don't need no rap hands.
I didn't know.
Don't come up to the DJ booth trying to be like, "What up?" No.
Yo, I never put it together, but they are rap hands, bro. They are rap hands.
Yeah, rap hands. Yeah. Watch. Next time you see somebody use the rap hands, you gonna bust out laughing. Don't give me the rap hands, man.
Rap hands. So,
I don't need that shit.
Tell me about When Violence Is the Answer, and why did you select that book, and what you got out of it, and how could it help people?
Similar to what you said, I mean, it's a great book because it puts things in perspective. Because as a society, we've been taught the view that like being violent or being able to produce a level of violence is totally negative.
Yep.
When in actuality, like you said, we're not that far above animals. Animals will demonstrate a level of violence to protect their selves or their family.
Yep.
We're no different. And it really just helps you shift the mentality and give great examples on like, listen, okay, a guy's breaking in the lady house with a knife, he
I
stabbed her.
love that.
That's
Yo,
bad.
that great, man.
Yeah. But he come in and she grabbed a knife and stabbed him. She saved her life because he had no business coming in her house trying to do whatever he was trying to do to her. You know, same principle. So it's like really a shift in mentality in how we look at violence. Because
I'm sorry. I think I cut you off and talked over on it, but basically the story you're talking about is basically it's an analogy or hyperbole, whatever, anecdotal story where someone breaks in and there's a tussle and then she's stabbed and she died. It's tragic,
right.
you know, it's violent, but then the same thing happens, the struggle breaks in and then she stabs the guy and now she's a hero and her family's saved and all this other stuff. So the same action happened, but it's all about the context. One person used it for good, one person used it for evil. And we understand
and it's still
that
violence.
the same thing happens with firearms and other stuff like that. It's for good or for evil. It's not the instrument, not the method of delivery, is how it's delivered and why. So yeah,
Absolutely.
But
yeah, no, you
that's
good.
a great one, man. I use that all the time.
Yeah, no. I really love that book, and just even, you know, having. I also love the book about. I mean, not the book, but the story about the daughter going to college.
Yeah.
And her being able to use those skills that her father was like, yo, you're gonna go learn something, and it saved her from being a victim. Because like you said, it's a whole bunch of folks out here planning and plotting to do bad things to folks.
And with that stuff, it's very interesting because knowledge is power, but you have to act on it.
Absolutely.
And
you gotta act on it.
And the thing is knowing the steps to stuff. Like let's say carjacking, or let's say a rape in that instance, you know? So in that instance, they're talking about rape, and he's like, one or two things going to happen. He's going to try to slip your pants off, your bottoms, or he's going to try to slip his bottoms off. And when that is happening, his attention's diverted and you have an opportunity. It's pretty straightforward, but if you don't have that ahead of time, like this is when I go, you won't know. You'll be stuck in that there in the head like frozen moment, you know?
Yep, you froze,
And that's one of the things I tell people. I use this analogy a lot because in Philly, I don't know how it is over where you're at, but there's this thing where people hang around gas stations. And they'll wait for you to be either going in or they like to try to get you around a pump. So like you at the pump and they'll try to come over and ask you something, or they'll try to come to your door or something. And I stop people 15, 25 feet out. Like, yo, as soon as I see them, I'm scanning before I even pull up most times. Because I'm at a pump and no one's around it. But if there's somebody, or they start coming over, you can tell people's intent. I read it, but yo, what do you need? And I know if they don't stop and respond, then we're not talking.
Right.
So since we're not talking, we escalated. But they stop. Like, yo, what do you need from over there, my man? I make it real loud and apparently what you need. I'm just asking for a few dollars and we can talk. But if you don't respond when I do that first verbal spectrum of force, then we're not doing verbal anymore. All right, now I'm gonna let them know that I'm alert and attentive. Oh, he didn't respond to that. All right, well, we just going hands on, or I'm leaving the scene. You know?
Yep.
And people have to be able to see the steps of it because none of that stuff happens in a vacuum. Same thing with the Gavin, the gift of fear. I gotta trust what's happening with my instincts, and like you don't have to like try to be able to rationalize it. Like, oh, he did X, Y, and Z. Like, no, this ain't the way that I wanted to go. It felt weird, so this is what I did. Because you gotta keep yourself safe at the end of the day. And
all the time,
polite might keep you killed. It's just that simple. Right?
And I think another thing is just like you said, trusting your instinct, but then also not looking like a victim. Not like if you look like food, it's dinner time.
Yeah, bro.
I don't care wherever you went.
Let me tell you something. So Philadelphia has a lot of like areas where there's white people and out-of-staters and out-of-towners overlapped in real close proximity to the hood because there's a lot of gentrification happening. So as you're saying, like people in the hood and poverty, like a lot of stuff is based off of, for lack of a better word, since it's survival off of different primal energies, survivaling, that's not a word, but staying alive, looking for opportunities, to come up, not looking weak because somebody may come up on you or use you for something, right? And a lot of other people who aren't from these environments don't know those type of modalities.
They're not used to it.
So like this dude told me about, he's working in a wood shop and he has like wood shop people work with him. So they're like, I don't know, got flannel on overalls. I don't know what the fuck they be wearing.
Hipsters.
Yeah, hipsters, whatever. So they're right on the edge of a highly impoverished area of Philadelphia. So
Right.
this one person's walking down the street, let's say hipster number one, right? Walking down the street, and Philadelphia resident number one walks by and walks past him, then walks past him again. So that's odd of me. Why you walking laps
Wait, what
past
you
me,
want? Why
right?
you lapping me?
Why you
What are you
Why you
doing?
come back? So the third walk, Philadelphia resident smacked him and then went in his pocket. But hipster had no response to the two pass-bys. Didn't say nothing, didn't recognize it, didn't alert.
Nope.
Nothing. So I was like, oh, that dude looks soft.
Because you know why?
Yeah.
Because people be so
in
in this damn phone.
Yeah,
They're zombies. That's Walking Dead,
he got his
bro.
pockets ran, bro, all day like by an
Yeah.
adolescent, bro. Dude, was, not a grown man. Just smack things to get me.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like, oh, what can we do? I was like, well, first you need to like know how to like interact and read people and talk to people and assert himself. Like, what do you mean? So it's very interesting, man, on the different moods that people walk through. But it's really funny seeing different cultural clashes like that because they're in these environments, but they don't know how to live in these environments. They don't know how to interact in these environments.
Right.
Just being aware of what's happening around you, not making yourself look like food, staying vigilant, being energetic, making eye contact.
Eye contact, head on a
Walking with
swivel.
some energy, not wearing flip flops and slides everywhere.
Oh my goodness. That drives me so crazy.
One of the things you do when I was young, I was like, I always gotta make sure I can run in my stuff and fight in my stuff.
Listen,
I can't fight if I'm pulling my pants up. I can't fight. I can't jump with that pants up. I can't up. I can't.
Nope. Listen, okay. So here, real quick, I learned wearing a belt is vital for survival at a young age as a young man. Let's just say that I got in the foot race with some people in uniforms. I spent most of my energy trying to pull my pants up. They got me, and they gave me the good old forearm tackle. And I learned from that day, if I had a belt on, I would have had a little bit more success.
There you go. Well, you've been very blessed in your life, man. You get a lot of lessons that you can learn from, bro.
Hey, man, look, we're going to learn.
One of those lessons you might not learn from. You might have just been your last lesson, bro.
Absolutely. Every day is an opportunity.
Yeah, that's a blessing, man. That's a blessing. All right, so I'm trying to think. I think that's kind of it for today, man. Is there anything you want to share additionally or say to anybody, just yourself, before we close out?
Of course, I appreciate you letting me on the platform. This is
always,
fun. I mean,
man, always.
Basically, I feel like we just was continuing what we was doing.
Oh yeah, always, bro.
A couple weeks ago, like that's just what we was doing.
Like I said, we're gonna be in more contact with stuff because you have some interesting experiences. I want to definitely talk to you about the lawyer, the virtual range training you do, and that's just something where you could come back and talk at length of that just to share with other people because I don't know anybody else doing the virtual thing. You're the only person I know doing that.
Right. I mean, it's obviously because of the pandemic and ammo prices. Like I think a lot of people have been looking at alternatives to like practicing in dry fire training and stuff like that. The technology is only going to get better. So I feel like, we got to be ahead of the curve to be able to help empower as many people as possible and train them the right way.
We don't need make it so that they're getting some value.
Yeah. Like we don't need no cheddar bobs.
Let's talk about some topics and see if we can maybe do that next time because that sounds phenomenal, man.
I'm with it, and I'll send you some video examples of what I'm doing and how it works.
Okay, beautiful. And then also I want to talk about the interpersonal skills you have as a DJ, reading people and reading rooms, because that's you could do a whole TED talk on that, bro. And that's a skill. That's a life skill too. Something you've been around, where you've been in enough large gatherings and in different environments where you can read people and read rooms. That's a skill that a lot of people don't have, and they wouldn't be able to understand because you got to have a certain openness. You got to be observant, and you have to be able to interpret what you're seeing.
Definitely. Like, and I mean, and even today, I can still look at some rooms or whatever, and naturally you can second guess some things or be wrong or whatever. But for the most part, it's like, listen, let me find that common denominator of the room, and then bring everybody together.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. So.
All right. Well, thank you, D. I appreciate you. You're gonna be my battle.
Appreciate you, man.
We're gonna be talking about some stuff.
Absolutely. Hey, man, we rocking and rolling, man.
Yes, sir. So, all right. So, I thank you for coming on. I really appreciate the value added because I think we had some very good talks. I love the books you picked. Actually, I'm not going to say this, but they're the best books that I had on so far. And the way that it went with the conversation, they're good, man. So I'm going to share the stuff. I'm going to make sure that people can reach out to you because you need to support your local people.
Please.
The local people are the ones that care about you and the ones that understand you the most. So you need to support them. Don't try to look for little Groupons and, get discounts on people. Pay them their full rates because their mortgage, Damien's mortgage, he don't get no discount on his mortgage. He don't get no discount on his electric. Give him his full money and shut up and be happy supporting his
These kids is not giving me no discount.
No, his kids not giving no discount. No. So support him and be happy supporting him. Give him a tip. So all right, I'm gonna wrap it up. This is Adrian with Health Defense Solutions. I appreciate Damien from Elevated Freedom. Wait, I messaged
Freedom Elevated.
Freedom Elevated. There you go. I know I messed it. I had to stop. All right.
It's all right. It's all good.
Elevated. I'm gonna get a tattoo on my back so I don't forget. I'll get a tattoo.
Yeah, right. No, it's all good. You don't gotta do that. I just see your shirt. Don't worry about it.
Oh, we can do a shirt exchange, bro. I got shirts for you too, bro.
We can do that. See, that's gonna be the thing. We gonna start a shirt exchange like they do with the jerseys. That's how we're gonna start doing it.
I'm with it, baby.
Yeah, we're gonna just start doing it.
Do it, and then we'll show up. Then people think I'm working at your company. I'm gonna bring it down. I'm gonna bring. Do that dick, man. We'll be elevated.
Don't you start knifing any cardboard targets after you shoot.
I'm gonna go on a national tour, bro. I'm gonna be at so many training events with your shirt on. So many training events. Who's that dude with free melt? He had a single shot revolver out there, yo. He was up there doing the Dirty Harry shit.
And a monocle. No. And a monocle.
With the
aim for the sky.
Looking like Kentucky Slim out there, bro. Kentucky Slim. Freedom Elevated. I ain't gonna forget now. I'm gonna remember that. I gotta put on my business card. Freedom Elevated, baby.
Right. No, never mind this. Just scratch that out. That's right there. Freedom Elevated.
All right. I'm gonna get all right. So thank you, D, for being on. Thank you everybody for listening. As always, if you have any questions related to armed, unarmed, personal protection, any questions related to securing your homes, your businesses, let me know. We'll help you. The number is 484-441-3193. HelloDefenseSolutions.com, and follow us on Instagram and YouTube. And make sure you subscribe to the podcast because we're gonna be dropping some gems for the rest of the year. I got some stockpiled. I'm gonna start rolling them out slowly. And always remember, you're your own first responder, and all success comes from within. All right. So thank you, D. You have a good day.
Thank you for having me, man.
And I'll be talking to you soon, bro.
All right, later, man.
All right, peace.